All right, so we're going to go over in this video Chapter 11, Lesson 1, and Chapter 11, Lesson 4. So pages 523 to 528, and then 541 to 546. The first lesson we're going to talk about is measure lengths in centimeters. So you're going to want to have your ruler or your centimeter ruler, okay? And you're going to want to make sure that you are starting at 0, okay? Even if there's more space before, because if there's more space before, that's not getting measured, okay? So we want to start exactly at 0, so line up your centimeter ruler with the 0 at the end of what you are measuring, okay? And we're going to look to see where it ends. So for example, this first line ends at 4, so we would write 4 centimeters. And if you're abbreviating centimeters, okay, it would be just cm. So another way you could write that would be 4 cm, okay? We're going to repeat the same thing. We're going to not end of the ruler, but starting at 0, and this one ends right at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then right at 7, okay? These little lines in between are millimeters. There are 10 millimeters to every 1 centimeter. So we would write 7, okay, and then we're measuring, okay, and we end at 10. So explain how we measured, okay? So your answer should be a sentence or two, and you're going to want to talk about how you used a centimeter ruler and how you made sure you started at 0, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read. I know in this lesson and the next lesson, there will be some things to measure that, you may have to think about, like, where do I start? Don't start in the middle, okay? I know sometimes it's tempting, okay? Make sure you don't accidentally flip over your ruler if you have inches and centimeters, okay? Because that will give you the wrong answer. All right, so think and grow. Start measuring from the 0 mark on the ruler. Find the centimeter mark closest to the end of the object. So here we're giving an example, okay? If we're measuring it up, it is accurate. So if we're starting at 0, goes to 7, ours goes to 7. How long is this feather? It is 6 centimeters. So you're going to want to make sure that you trace that 6 centimeters. All right, you're going to go ahead and measure the button, about how many centimeters, the mouse, about how many centimeters, the cucumber, about how many centimeters, and then go on to the next page. Measure again the fork, about blank centimeters, the screw, about blank centimeters. Now you have to draw a pencil that is about 9 centimeters long. So you're going to want to take your ruler, figure out how long 9 is, okay? So you're going to want to put a dot where 9 is, a dot at the 0, and then draw your pencil between those 2 dots, okay? You be the teacher. Newton says the ribbon is about 14 centimeters long. Is he correct? Explain. So remember, explain means tell me why. So tell why. So you're going to want to use the word because. So you're going to write Newton is correct because, or Newton is not correct because, and then finish that sentence. Tell the why. On the next page, we are going to think and grow, modeling real life. Okay, so we have a hammer. It's laid sideways. And it says, will the hammer fit inside the toolbox that is 40 centimeters long? Explain. So you're going to circle yes or no. And you're going to say, the hammer will fit inside the toolbox because, or the hammer will not fit inside the toolbox because. Okay. And then you have your sunglasses. Will the sunglasses fit inside a case that is 10 centimeters long? Explain. So yes or no. And you go, the sunglasses will fit inside the case because, or the sunglasses will not fit inside the case because. All right. We continue on to our next page, page 527. All right. Start measuring from the 0 mark on a ruler. We've talked about this before. It is very important. Your answer will always be wrong if you're not starting at 0 without doing extra math. All right, so we have a key. They're measuring it. Once again, this is an accurate little ruler that they have put into our book. And the key is about 4 centimeters. All right, we're going to measure the stapler. How many centimeters? The phone. How many centimeters? The push pin. About how many centimeters? The note paper, probably a post-it of a to-do list. About how many centimeters? So I'm just looking for a number right there. All right, so precision. Which crayon is shorter than 8 centimeters? So you're going to want to measure all of them because maybe it's just one crayon. Maybe it's more than one crayon. So you're going to circle all the crayons that are shorter than 8 centimeters. So not equal to 8 centimeters, not longer, but shorter. All right, modeling real life. Will the pen fit inside a pouch that is 18 centimeters long? Explain, yes or no. And you'd say the pen will fit inside a pouch that is 18 centimeters long because, or the pen will not fit inside a pouch that is 18 centimeters because, and then say why. All right, so here we are with some review, okay? Remember when we're doing addition and subtraction, we always start in the ones place, okay? So if we have anything to carry, we would write it up here, and then we would add, okay? So because this is a review, I'm not going to do this with you, but it's some helpful reminders. And that will finish chapter 11, lesson 1, and then we will go on to page 541 and talk about measuring in inches. So this time you're going to want to have your inch ruler. So if you're using a ruler with it centimeters on one side and inches on the other, make sure you flip it over. Okay, so we have inches. Otherwise, pull out your inch ruler. All right, so we have here, remember, we're starting not at the end of the ruler, even though it's really close to 0, we're starting at 0. And measuring, this would be a 1/2 inch, this would be a 1/4 inch, but we're looking only at the nearest inch. So 1 inch, 2 inch is 2 inches. If we're going to abbreviate inches, that would be 2IN period. We put that period after IN to show that it's abbreviation, but also so people don't get confused that we're talking about 2 in 5 or 2 in the box. So the word in versus the abbreviation. Okay, so here we're going to measure. Remember, always starting at the 0, and we count 1, 2, and then we're at 3. It is also labeled, so you could just look where does it end and find the nearest inch right there. So 3, okay, and measure. We're at 4 inches. All right, and then explain how you measured. You're going to want to talk about how you used an inch ruler and you started at 0. All right, on to the next page. Okay, so we have Think and Grow. Start measuring from the 0 mark on the ruler. And once again, this will be an accurate little ruler that they have added into our textbook. If we start at 0, see how we end at 1 right there and end at 2. Okay. And find the inch mark closest to the end of the object. Okay, so it is closest, not exact, but very, very close. Okay, if it continues, just a hairline over or under, but it is about 2 inches. Make sure you trace that. Okay, because that is just some extra practice to say, hey, yes, I was paying attention to this and I understand it. All right, so now we're going to show and grow. I can do it. You're going to measure the clothespin about blank inches, the quarter about blank inches, the screwdriver about blank inches. All right, we're going to measure the spoon about blank inches, the eraser about blank inches. Draw a crayon that is about 4 inches long. So just like we did in our last lesson, we're going to put a dot at 0 and then making sure we're on the inches side. Okay, inch. A dot at 4, and then draw your crayon in between those 2 dots. All right, you be the teacher. Your friend says the watch is about 6 inches long. Is your friend correct? Explain. So you would say, yes, the watch is about 6 inches long No, it's not about 6 inches long because, okay, my friend is incorrect, or not correct because my friend is correct because. Those are some ways you can phrase your answer. All right, so we have think and grow, modeling real life. Will the toothbrush fit inside the case that is 4 inches long? Explain. So here's our toothbrush. Measure it. You're going to circle yes or no. The toothbrush will fit inside the case because. The toothbrush will not fit inside the case because. Okay. Show and grow. I can think deeper. Will the colored pencil fit inside the box that is 8 inches long? Explain. Measuring it. Is it yes or no? And then you would say the colored pencil will fit inside the box because, or the colored pencil will not fit inside the pencil box because. And then finish that sentence. Once again, accurate ruler. We have a pine cone. Start measuring from 0. Mark on the ruler. And we see it comes right to the 3. So it's about 3 inches. We are going to measure the earbud. About blank inch. The pen cap about blank inches. Ooh, a $10 bill. There's fake money here. About blank inches. And the last page for this section. All right, you be the teacher. Newton says the highlighter is about 5 centimeters long. Is he correct? Explain. Measure it. And then you write your sentence. Modeling real life. Will the screwdriver fit inside a case that is 5 inches long? Explain. So remember, explain is tell why. Okay, you need to have that because and then your why. So yes, no, use your sentences to explain. This is a review question down here. Write how many tens. Circle groups of 10. Write how many hundreds, then write the number. So how many tens do you have if you're just count up your tens? How many hundreds? So if you have a circle of 10, remember that is your 100. And then what is the actual number? All right. Please let me know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.